seat, bro. Have a seat. Have a seat. Ah, yes. Come on here, brother. Welcome. Bless. Have a seat. Have a seat right there. Hey. Brother, bless. Have a seat, bro. Welcome. Bless. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. You guys ready to make some money? Yeah. I can't hear you. Ready to make some money? Yeah. All right. Let's get to work. All right, man. You get your birth certificates, man. You get a bunch of money from that, man. You know what I'm saying? You get your bonds, tons of money, man. You know what I'm saying? You want to get flex like this, you want to be good, man. You want to be flossing, get your fur coats on, right? You got this over here, right here. Just ignore all that right there. You know, over here, right here. This is what it's all about, man. It's all about the dollar signs. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the money. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the dollar signs. At the end of the day, it's all about the money.
So, SGK, how soon can I get my money after we do this?
I am getting right here. I need lots of money.
Hey, since this is so foolproof, can I get an advance? I got some stuff to take care of. I need the money.
Hold up.
2 weeks going on free, I gave him a G. 70s papers, I could be sovereign and free like Popes and King Henry. Sipping on Henny and pigs' faces, no matter the places. Travel rights, days and nights, cash and bonds on birth certs. Didn't tell me that birth is ERTH, bottomry benefits of instruments.
It's all about the money. Trust me, you go with this and you'll get the money. If you don't believe me, ask my student right here.
Pissed off will break his wrist off. Dirty Moors got me wanna cut lips off and teeth chipped off. Dirty feet using me to go through windows. Probably took my fiat and bought Indo and Kush. Off the roof I would push.
SGK.
Yes, sir.
Justice, no love.
How come no withdrawal is not on the board?
No reply from emails. He stopped tweeting, but he's giving details. Untrusting executive status. Dialing the number, got my fingers callous. Dirty more packets selling cheaters. Rob you with no conscience. Cognizant, not sleepers. And well aware, that's more than local. Plus they changed the corporate name and logo.
We're sorry, you have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. We're sorry, you have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again.
They still on the fiat hustle and go on the bustle. Got the bag like who's airtight. Yeah, flat right, martial light hype. Not even get wise with the quickness, ability, quickly nimble, won't stumble or tremble. Finding out I got played like cymbals. Dirty Moors selling you your own Morris symbols and crystals. No different than trees and reeds and toes missile. Drew Ali said study, so you don't get enslaved or played by your own buddy. Giving money to a gold digging dummy. State hopping, dirty Moors, rob you out your dirty drawers. Souls perfect in fools' bodies. Setting up a PayPal smiling board. Those types don't even know what's coming. Cause when I see them, it's expose time, no running, no gunning. I was told get wise. Dirty people giving weasel evil eyes. Picking up the cell to call. I get nervous cause I know what's up after I heard this.
We're sorry, you have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. We're sorry, you have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again.
You gotta dish out.
All this is yours? This is all yours?
For sure. What else is it?
Keep coding. Jeez. I need to get me some of that right now, man. Yo, SGK, hook me up.
Bro, I got all this first day. I'm just saying, not the first day today, but the next day.
Lamism developed in Tibet in the Tang dynasty and then passed into Mongolia and northeast China. Lamaism is the Buddhism practiced in Tibet. This type of Buddhism is the Indian Mahayana Buddhism, intermingled with elements of Asian Tibetan religions. High person indicates great stature in the Buddhist religion, a noble man of much wisdom and good works, standing higher than all others. Therefore, a high person, a Tibetan Buddhist Lama, is like the abbot in Chinese Buddhism. Abbots are the monks' instructors. They pass on their wisdom in the same way as any other type of teacher. The abbot.
Step down from your 13th step. Stranger, who's black here, take first step. Savior, KRS is my nature. Incorrection papers, I'm a motherfucking savior. Hey, give thanks to my makers, not just high. See you later to my haters. Keep it up and drop a planet on these traders. Even fuss, got full principle. The fifth is just who damn government, it's not us, the people. Me and mama, or papa, come fuss. Find them within the internal compass. Jump on the llama when the industry holds from the drama. When it starts back up, more's on top when we alter. This world's more than just, hey, what's up for the slaughter? The abbot, the panda, nobody grander. The stature, Prophet Noble to Ali is the answer.
The abbot, the abbot, the abbot.
Yeah.
The abbot, the abbot, the abbot. A noble, and much wisdom, and good work, The abbot.
Our abbot brought us Islamism, look this unity or divisionism. He never died, he survived the great schism, avalanche, lies and libel. He made us national, not tribal. Improprio persona, don't throw away your Bible. Affirm, never swear, make sure not rival. Honors to the mothers, use the menstrual cycles to make waves tidal. I'm his disciple. Teachings of our abbot needs to go viral. We recycle Quran questions, recital, chakra spiral, lower self stifle, so delightful. Awaiting higher self-arrival. Trained us to be mental fittest for survival. Gave up the slave tag for ancestral titles. Back from the dead when the abbot tapped my spinal. Not the heavy metal band, but the path of the left hand.
The abbot, the abbot, the abbot. The abbot, the abbot, the abbot. A noble, and much wisdom, and good work, The abbot.
Developing inner self is like building physical muscle. Even when we're physically still, we live a spiritual hustle. Must you question our prefer answers and lessons? Been in sessions with those that develop spirit like professions. The message is trust thyself. The more we know, balance with the more that we know there's more we don't know. Gotta grow still. Decay's the only other option. I don't like that feel, so I cut and connect with real. Not just to heal, to thrive. To escalate off interstate, what's focused on survive? We better now, we rise. Divine plan, harmonizing my logic and inner man. Stand still, listen to inner voice, articulate real. Fulfillment of the goal of oneness is truly silence. Inner outer self is one. No plus, no minus, or minus. MYND or harmonization. Physical is spiritual, and us creations waiting.
The abbot, the abbot, the abbot. The abbot, the abbot.
Yeah.
A noble, and much wisdom, and good work, The abbot.
It's a journey for whoever's worthy to learn of self and not to ossify behaviors early. It's still a controversy. Flat earth, round earth, who the first people? They try to calculate the formula to keep it equal. But I am an nemesis to all you supremacists, putting all the emphasis to crush all your benefits, distorting what was relevant, tracing back to Genesis. The proof is in the pudding, we impeach more than presidents. Still we take your precedence, uplifting humanity. Sipping out you dirty moors, I'm standing with who's backing me. Year 1933 was a tragedy, a blessing in the same breath, removing all the chains from the brain, soul plain left, never disappear, it's ascension from this plain flesh, student always learning, this is certain, I am shameless, the abbot to the abbot, we go into the same test,
The abbot, the abbot, the abbot. The abbot, the abbot, the abbot. A noble, and much wisdom, and good work, The abbot.
Abbott says on board the mission, never waited for the first decision. Escaping from this corporate fiction, sometimes high, sometimes low, face in and out. Constant switching, different route, avoid the friction, watch your mouth, change your diction, status out, for jurisdiction. What we about? Most listen, build this house, my solar system, begin to south, be in remission, got no doubt my prophet's mission, my prophet's vision.
A noble man. The Abbot, the Abbot, the Abbot, the Abbot, the Abbot.
Read the future through the stars, or Tarot of Moors. Cut you with the scimitar or shadow sword. Then in Callaway, our names are Moors of Europe. Black and Indian, say lion, and selling you hope. Dirty Moors tell you MST obeys religious. Replace Jesus with Drew Ali singing hymns like Christians. Emmanuel, I said, be a human rights reader. But Ross play games in Moorish Jalabias. Nuwapians know the God gave him circle 7 lessons. They call him a nation of Moors in 360 questions. Hebrew Israelites are Moorish, Zionist Jews, but has the mothers in the back of tabernacle rooms. Praying to the patriarch when Ark is the womb. Reincarnated Drew Ali, written on given soon. Drew Ali reincarnated is also Father Muhammad, claiming the prophet, but he's all about profit. $sign odds, 10 grand for a package. King of the Moor spirit feces, that's so savage. They're not against me, but against Drew Ali. They're not adjective like black collar or Somali. Jumping over Negro and say more means black. Says nigga leaders with scholarship off track should face a firing squad with lies like that. BLM leaders, mansions, every state on the map. No guilt or remorse. They face on billboards, but police victims in courts as a status quo awards. Mothers mourning, hiring civil rights attorneys. Most of them are not worthy and job turkeys. Make you march and picket. No one sees you like midgets, no matter how hard you fidget. Choked out for 10 minutes. Been dead for 7 on your highway to heaven. They get off with the wrist slap, but not charged like a felon. You can't see what I can see. You're blind, baby. You're blind from the facts. You can't see what I can see. You're blind, baby. Your mind is so black. You can't see what I can see. You're blind, baby. You're blind from the facts. You can't see what I can see.
That's those black
You're blind, baby. Your mind is so black.
You said meet them where they're at? Been there, done that. Sounds like you want me going back to being black. Dead carcass, a dead status, same difference. All in experience. Blacks getting shot up, but Moors made them shut up. Double cup, that's protection. Every man to a nation. Negotiate for what? When you have the Constitution. Am I a Negro or what? You need permission, not prohibitive. Privilege, like you're somebody's kid. I guess that's the way we live. Nah, free national standards. I'm nobody's bastard. Land, air, water. That spells law, but you blind, baby. I told you. You're blind, baby. Message for the percolated. Don't shoot my birdie. More science and facts. Fiction is the movie. Look at where you act. If you don't believe me, then study. Then you will know, and you will grow. You will know, and you will grow. Blind, baby.
You can't see what I can see. You're blind, baby. You're blind from the facts. You can't see what I can see. You're blind, baby. Your mind is so black. You can't see what I can see. You're blind, baby. You're blind from the facts. You can't see what I can see. You're blind, baby. Your mind is so black.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gates Cemetery, February the 4th days. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence alarm makes it a little of a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. I'll keep a mask on deck, I'm Raven Stereo. Big pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm rock face, mixing with rock the hard way. I was in the lost state. Prophets told me upright, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Saute, rapping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, Deja Vu, Roman J, Israel. And no before I lay in plain sight.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gate. Cemetery, February the 4th day. Son of Mary, dead of my own day. Independence alarm, makes a little lost case. Case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. I'll keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I rob bass, mix it with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets told me upright, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Salt Bay, prepping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, Deja Vu, Roman J. Israel. And no, but I lay in plain sight. But people still can't see it, so the snake's still showing up. Stakes still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death, dip in slavery. Looking for life, the book of Genesis. Astroplane entrances, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life. Finish him.
Morris Omar, key man or oracle, using Trinity powers, decipher allegorical, lost in metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic, facts slap a dirty more or a Drew Ali Craig, calling him Thomas or Walter and get your face caved, or cut like a close shave, drowned in my brainwaves, squashed by heat waves, activating Kundalini, Abyssinia invaded by Mussolini, Selassie I in exile, reptile in Genesis, niggas appearing real, all I see is false evidence.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gates. Cemetery, February the 4th day. Son of Mary, they ahead of my born day. Independence alarm, makes it a little of a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. I'll keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I rob bass, mix it with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets told me upright, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Salt Bay, prepping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, Deja Vu, Roman J. Israel. And no, but I lay in plain sight. But people still can't see it, so the snake's still showing up. Stakes still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death, dip in slavery. Looking for life, the book of Genesis. Astroplane entrances, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life. Finish him.
Morris Omar, key man or oracle, using Trinity powers, decipher allegorical, lost in metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic, facts slap a dirty more or a Drew Ali Craig, calling him Thomas or Walter and get your face caved, or cut like a close shave, drowned in my brainwaves, squashed by heat waves, activating Kundalini, Abyssinia invaded by Mussolini, Selassie I in exile, reptile in Genesis, niggas appearing real, all I see is false evidence, DA are feminists, stomped on by elephants, more like no prejudice but want Moorish benefits, when you feel the cold magnetic resonance, Apis horns of the sacred book called Maleficent, great cosmic mothers, return to blessedness, no pestilence, ace all the testaments, tap into remembrance, never to forget again, use energy right, not put spell effects on men, wandering the earth plane with no they live shades, keeps you a mental slave as the horizon fades, it's been decades since Christian crusades, not enough rebellions, too many visual bouquets, holding on to the fence, burning on doomsday, war ruled by Mars, it might be on a Tuesday.
Canaanland Moors present Common Sense Quick. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try?
Want to give it a try? Want to give it a try? Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. All the Moors who know that they're Moors without doubt or contradiction. And you know that we are not Negro, Black, colored, African, Trinidadian, Jamaican, Bayesian, South American, American, African, and anything else that we call ourselves. We're Moors. And we founded everything. And everybody knows except these dummies that want to be everything else except Moors. Moors brought everything. All right, well, we're going to be everything. Are you Moors? No. Yeah, but Moors brought everything. Well, everything is over here by itself and has nothing to do with Moors. So we're just going to be everything. All right. We're still going to be Moors. You stay over there with your everything BS. The history of Latin music. History of Latin music. The history of the Moorish Empire prior to Spain extends from the ancient Moabites and extends across the Great Atlantis into North, South, and Central America. Thus, the Moorish domination of the seas. It is important to point out that as time goes on, what is now known as Latin America is highly influenced by European colonization and the slave trade with Africa. Currently, Latin America, the countries of the Western Hemisphere south of the United States, including the Caribbean islands, Mexico, Central and South America, and contain an amalgamation of cultural influences, namely European, the Moors, Mexican, and other African tribes. Europe contributed to religion's two main languages, Spanish and Portuguese. Much of the native Moorish culture, which was in place before the arrival of the Spaniards and Christopher Columbus, was suppressed due to forced assimilation. The rest was combined with the arrival of slaves and other cultures in the 16th century. Through this rich cultural mix, a distinct Moorish, or commonly referred to as Afro-Caribbean culture, has emerged. For all the people who say that they're the islands or whatever, right? You got the independence and we're gonna celebrate the independence. You're independent, but you're still calling yourself their name. The element in Moorish, African, and Caribbean music that may find most distinctive is its rhythms are derived from Moorish and other Africans via the slave trade 1550 to 1880, which is believed to have brought an estimated 2 million people of Moorish descent, while in fact the Moors had domination and inhabitation for over 2,000 years in what is known as the West into the Caribbean islands. Unlike the Moors of North American and some that were enslaved, who in 1776 were forbidden from playing drums, except for areas such as New Orleans, Congo Square. Caribbean slaves were liberally allowed to play their drum, which of course were not only for recreation and entertainment, but used as a means of communicating. These were considered the talking drums, carrying current as well as timeless messages of history, struggle, unspeakable joy. All this was accomplished through the replaying of these traditional Moorish and African rhythms sung and on a drum. Now, beyond the colorable stuff about the slave trade, that's how all our people are supposed to be talking, just like that. None of this black stuff. You might say African every time, but every other time you're saying more, so it's not really gonna matter. Right? The interjection is, of course, the slave trade, which is a fraud. And just going with the 2,000 years of the history of the people over here. You need to bring slave trades into the conversation. For what? Let's just say they brought 2 million people here. And we were here. And we would probably have some type of documentation on this side saying, well, we were here for 2,000 years, and then some Europeans came with boats and they were offloading people who look just like us by the millions. Is there anything? How come nobody over here ever talk about some slave stuff? Unless you go to Brazil, you might hear one or two stories. It's always the slaves talking. Yeah, we were brought over here by the best slave. Who are you? You're a slave. You don't have permission to talk. You don't talk. This is big people conversation. You know, put your mouth in stuff. You claiming slave, then hold that. If you're not gonna hold it, then we're Moors. Let's be free and let's do what we're supposed to do. Now we're just talking about the music connection for all the Moors who are into their music. During the 18th, 19th centuries, these rhythms spread, developed, and canonized throughout the Caribbean around the same time that another American art form was beginning its conception. This North American art form was also going to contain a rich cultural mix. It would incorporate blues, intonation, African drums and rhythms, Indian symbols, European instruments, harmony, and musical forms with a syncopated beat, namely jazz. Every country and every island in the Caribbean developed its own unique musical culture, be it folk idioms or a national conservatory styles. 4 countries, namely Cuba, Brazil, Argentina, and Mexico, have had the most significant influences in music. These influences include Latin rhythms and or dances that infatuated, like the habanera, bolero, samba, bossa nova, tango, mariachi. All these rhythms and structures and their dances began affecting music making everywhere, from the concert hall to the New Orleans Street Parade, to Broadway, to Tin Pan Alley. All goods, including people, were traded through the convenient and busy port of New Orleans, Louisiana. Musically inclined workers on Caribbean ships were afforded the opportunity to exchange new rhythms, dances, songs with various Creole African dances. So you realize everything's ours. So how do they get all your stuff? How is everything yours and they got your stuff? Why is it that there's an absence of you? Why are you absent? There's no way that we can be really taken serious until we take ourselves serious. And we better take ourselves serious. We're not Negro, black, colored. Now, why would star names be Arabic? Obviously, Arabic-speaking people have something to do with everybody in the planet knowing about astrology and constellations and what's going on in the universe. Very old star names originated among people who lived in the Arabian Peninsula more than 1,000 years ago, before the rise of Islam. However, many Arabic language star names sprang up later in history as translations of ancient Greek language descriptions. Claudius Ptolemy tabulated the celestial position and brightness of 1,025 stars. Ptolemy's book was translated into Arabic in the 8th and 9th centuries and became famous in Europe. Why do the constellations even have to do with Moors? This is how vast Moorish is. Black would never bring you here. African, Hebrew, whatever, would never bring you here. Only when you put Moorish, are you going to be able to open up yourself, which in turn would open up the vortex in front of you so you can go find out who you really are. Because the 3D stuff, they're not telling. Matter of fact, they're trying to get rid of our people. But they know they also can't do that because it'll get rid of them. And they also know that if our people find out what's really going on and they actually start using their common sense, that all their suffering could be done tomorrow. So they're doing everything in their power to make sure that you know nothing about Moors. You have absolutely no connection to who we really are as a people. Like I said, Moors already know this. This is not some new information for people who study. They already know this. This is like when they pull up the black inventors list, and then people are surprised. Like, we're the founders of civilization. Why wouldn't, like, why are you surprised? You have a fridge because of a brother. KKK uses fridges. They can't be that racist. They're not racist for real. They're playing some type of other game. Because the nigger made a fridge, and every KKK has a fridge. If every KKK has a super soaker, how are they racist? Must be something else going on. Can't be racism going on. Now they're talking about 1,200 stars or whatever. You talk to Dogon, they're talking quadruple that. But these at least are all the ones they know that are Arabic. Remember, we're going to play the game. They're going to play the game of the after things. But remember, you go to Temple of Dendor and they got constellations in there. We're just showing you that there's a Moorish connection to it. We're not saying the Moors are the founders of it or whatever like that. But they're definitely tied to the founders of civilizations. I don't know any black guys who are tied to the founders of civilizations. I know for a fact the Moors are. I know the Moors are. There's too much evidence out there to show and prove that the Moors are connected to the founders of civilizations. And why wouldn't somebody want to claim that? Why would they claim Negro black colored? Why would they claim that when they could actually claim a nation? They can actually claim what's theirs. Right? And of course, we always got to remind people, and Noble Drew Ali told you, if I told you so was a person, a natural person, an improper persona, there'd be Noble Drew Ali's face there. Perfected man must pass through all the ways of life, and so a carnal was full manifest, a nature that sprang forth from fleshy things. Without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength, and thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. And so, this carnal nature soon became a foe that man must fight, that he might be the strength of Allah made manifest. Let every living thing stand still and hear. Man is the Lord of all the plane of manifest, of protoplast, of mineral, of plant, of beast, but he given up his birthrights just to gratify his lower self. But man will regain his lost estate, his heritage, but he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Lost your birthright because you gave it up. Mom spit in your face. But it's okay, because you will regain the lost estate. You will regain the heritage. The conflict that can't be told in words is you changing from black whatever to more. Because until you be it, you're not going to know what Moors are talking about. Just like if you want to play golf, you have to have the bag with the clubs. You can't go out there with baseball bats talking about we're gonna go play some golf. This is where it's at. You have to be it to know what it is. Right? Somebody posted up now Riza Islam now is doing stuff with I Self-Law Master. Which I Self-Law Master, that's the Moorish thing. But those guys over there selling packages. So how do you say it? Chickens have come home to roost, and everyone is being forced into showing their hand that they're a trader and a sellout. Everyone. Everyone. And all that's going to be left are Moors. Because all the dummies are going to obviously go with their leaders, because, people are going to follow their leaders. Even if they're sending them into a burning building, they're going to go follow their leaders. Leaders outside the burning building talking about, come on, let's go, get in, get in, get in. And you're running in there. You even have a second thought. Like, hold on a second. Why are we running into the burning building? Like, what? Nobody has a problem with this? Everybody's just down with following this guy into a burning building. All you got. The Moors told you Noble Drew Ali. The Moors told you Noble Drew Ali. His prophecies are manifesting right now. Right now, people can't get gas right now. Didn't Drew Ali say wheels of industry will stop? That sounds like stuff stopped. He playing around like he wasn't a prophet and he didn't know what he was talking about. Right? When it's just you and the books and the candles, just you and the books and the candles. It's the prophecies manifesting right now. Not that they haven't been manifesting before. You're late. The boat has left the dock. The boat's not even docking. Boat's in the middle of the damn stuff playing. They're waiting for these people to say they're gonna start accepting gold and silver or something because we don't want you. We don't want your paper. Right? This is behold a pale horse manifesting right now. You know, behold a pale horse is going on right now. You know, King Alfred plan been going on, and our people are playing around like more to the Moors. Well, Noble Drew Ali, and then there's a book that's I see you're up to your neck in quicksand. You're not gonna grab the stick. You're just gonna debate me. You're just gonna debate that more over there when you're up to eyebrows in quicksand. How you even get in quicksand in the first place? How you even get there? What caused you to get there? When are you gonna wake up and realize that Moore's been telling you the right stuff the whole time? Natural Zuli knows. Natural too, they had to find out getting locked up, listening to Negroes. Listening to Negroes get locked up. And then now he's finding out that, oh yeah, what the Moors are saying is really what's up. Right? Everywhere. It's obvious. It's obvious that over here is the same as over there. It should be obvious. What side do you go on? Your home. If you can wrap your head around that, then we can get some stuff done. That whether you're over there or over here, you're home. Not because some European said so. Absolutely not because some European said so. We're not making up stuff. We always give you reference points to go study. Right? Why is there a Baghdad in Florida? Why? Why is that there? You know, there's something going on that our people aren't privy to. And that's the true knowledge of themselves, being the founders everywhere. That's here because of what? And they keep doing this pre-Islamic thing. Yeah, it is pre-Islamic, like I self-law and master. You know the time there was when man was not and all that. What are they talking about? You're playing you so dirty. Playing you so dirty. But is it really them? Or is it your dumbass? Right. How come this is not Jerusalem, Texas? Shouldn't this be Israel, Texas? How come it's called Palestine still? Or did they move it so they could steal the stuff? No, all those people gotta do is just go to Texas. And they're good. But that's too much. That's too much. It's alright though. It's alright. And then they have a Jesus and a manger there. Imagine that. Would you be surprised? Would you be surprised if the story's there? Actually, one night, the star in the sky was so bright that these three people came walking down the street right out of the cornfields. There's one for the Moors. For the Moors near Cali. Where's Mecca at? Mecca. See what that Mecca said. Go fezzed up there, see what happens. This is not some modern Arab thing we're talking about. We're talking about ancient. We're not talking about some modern thing. Influence in pre-colonial and early America. Historical legal snapshot. We'll just go to page 27. Absence of Islam in American history. The Muslim presence in early America and its lasting impact are ignored in the United States history. The role of Muslims in the discovering of America is, they're killing me with this freaking thing. The role of Muslims in the discovery of America is seldom explored. Many of the slaves who arrived in the Americas were transported to South America. Those who were taken to the American colonies were for the most part quickly converted to Christianity. Very few vestiges of Islam remain from this period, with the exception of portions of the Quran and apparently transcribed from memory, personal narratives passed down person to person, and archaeological artifacts including letters, books, and manuscripts. The omission of the significant impact of Islam in America from history books is so out of keeping with reality that the lack of information appears to be either deliberate or negligent. You choose. Just as the history of African Americans, Indians Americans, and many immigrant groups is absent from mainstream publications, the Muslim contribution to America is unavailable as well. The prejudice against Muslims in academic scholarship is tantamount to the racism against blacks and other non-whites. So if we're not Negro, black, or coloreds, then that means the prejudice against Muslims, aka Moors, in academic scholarship is tantamount to racism, period. You already know what they're talking about when they start talking the race stuff. So it's not tantamount to when you take out the blacks and the other non-whites. It's the same theft of the birthright. Why do the history textbooks fail to include the Muslim discovery of America? James W. Lowen asserts, American history books promote the belief that most important developments in the world are traceable to Europe. To grant too much human potential to pre-Columbian Africans might jar European American sensibilities. As Samuel Marble puts it, the possibility of African discovery of America has never been a tempting one for American historians. Teachers and curricula that present African history and African Americans in a positive light are often condemned for being Afrocentric. White historians insist that the case for Afro-Phoenicians has never been proven. We must not distort history to improve black children's self-image, they say. They are right that the case hasn't been proven, but textbooks should include Afro-Phoenicians as a possibility, a controversy. It is educational malpractice to dismiss the claims of the Afro-Phoenician discovery of America, even if they are only possibilities. In slave religion, the invisible institution in the antebellum South, noted historian Albert J. Raboteau barely devotes 2 pages to Islam among the American slaves. Raboteau introduces the topic of Muslim slaves by saying, there were moreover a few Muslim slaves from Africa who continued as best they could to observe the customs of Islam. This limited space about Muslim slaves in America is problematic, given that Raboteau's book is a 382-page history volume devoted solely to slave religion, and 1/5 of American slaves may have been of Muslim descent. Even the most conservative estimates calculate that 10% of African slaves were Muslim, placing their numbers at approximately 9.5 million. Thus, a few Muslim slaves, as Raboteau asserts, is a gross understatement. Raboteau did not mention the burdens the slave masters imposed on Muslims and others that prevented them from following their religion. Isn't that Inquisition? So they should just stop calling the stuff slavery and call it Inquisition, because everybody was getting that treatment, right? It wasn't just the Muslims getting that treatment. Like, they can't be whatever, they gotta be civilized by the massa. That was everybody's treatment. To further emphasize the anti-Islam bias inherent in Roboto's scholarship, the book's portrayal of Islam appears to be mocking Muslim religious practices from an outsider perspective. Mogran come from Africa, remarked Rosa Grant of Possum Point, Georgia. Remember when I was a child, seeing my grand Rhino pray. Every morning at something up, she kneel on the floor in a rum and bow upon and take on head on the set. That's crazy. He really went there. I mean. They know what that is, though. They know what the hell that is. They can't pronounce anything else, but they know how to pronounce I mean. They could pronounce I mean 3 times. They can't even say remember, but they can say I mean. All right. Roboto should have expounded on his narrative. It appears that the author knows no more about Islamic religious practices than the granddaughter of the slave who is praying. For the sake of informing the reader, Roboto should have explained exactly the type of prayer that the grandmother was performing instead of glossing over it. He should also have avoided the mocking tone in describing the narrative. The leading casebook on race and law, race and races, cases and resources for a diverse America addresses the issue of discrimination. This authority was amended in its 2nd edition and included more analysis and case studies involving discrimination against Asian American. No. See how the Asian American. What that breaks down to, different people with nationalities from Asia, right? So African American, what's that break down to? Negroes, black, coloreds. How come those aren't the same? How come Asian Americans doesn't break down to yellow guys, but African Americans breaks down to black guys? Yeah, I'm telling you of Congolese or anything like that, because they were Congolese American, Senegalese American. Not going to be African American. Well, you know, our people like to get played. Our people love to get played. And then they talk about, you know, Declaration of Independence. Remember the pedophile stuff? Remember the pedophile guys? You know, the pedophile guys didn't found their stuff on some Christian stuff. Oh yeah. Abdullah Hakim Quick responds to the widely held historical fallacy about Islam in America, but the history book said, Christopher Columbus discovered America and the people are standing there. That's intellectual genocide. You destroy people. That is what has happened in the West in order to justify the system of oppression and racism established over the past 400 years. Scholars and educational systems propagate lies to ensure the implementation of oppressive tactics with the overall goal of preserving the colonial model of understanding regarding Islam. That's like one of the Moors right now dealing with some madness at work with the jab. And then he's telling them, Aboriginal, Indigenous, well, Do you have a creed? No, what's your religion? And do you have a medical exemption and going into all this other stuff? And answering questions with the same question that doesn't even, with the same answer that doesn't even fit the question that I just asked. And this is what it is right here. The systematic oppression of Islam so that the colonial model could continue on with its whatever it's been doing, oppressive tactics and, you know, mass mandate and all that stuff and whatever. Quick is on the mark in saying that the history books commit intellectual genocide by simply attributing the discovery of America to Columbus, because the systematic exclusion of the Muslim contribution is too overt to be accidental. Lowen says no one textbooks mentions the West African voyagers to the New World. While leaving out Columbus's predecessors, American history books continue to make mistakes when they get to the last discoverer. They present cut and dried answers, mostly glorifying Columbus, always avoiding uncertainty and controversy. This omission, oh yeah, and we already know in American history books that U.S. Corporation history books. The omission of the Islamic impact in American history is a theft of the legacy of the early American Muslims. The historical silence implies the Muslim contribution is in some way lacking or shameful. Many minority groups already suffer from marginalization. Dominance by one racial group is detrimental to the American or the U.S. psyche. The clash between Muslims and non-Muslims is evidenced in the varying viewpoints of Islamic civilization. Muslims generally believe Islamic civilization is built on divine foundations, whereas non-Muslims generally think Islamic civilization is grounded in ideas and practices from Judaism and Christianity. According to Amit Kara Mustafa, both these viewpoints are accurate in describing Islamic civilization. It is often thought that Islamic civilization took its peculiar shape through a series of complicated, evasive maneuvers that enabled it to preserve its pristine purity. Muslims, it is assumed, rejected cultural influences from the outside and jealously guarded their core values from being contaminated through contact with other civilizations. An influential Muslim view, perhaps the prevalent one, is that whenever and wherever they succeeded in preserving the divine kernel, Muslims flourished. Whenever and wherever they succumbed to non-Islamic contamination, they perished or lost power and became weak, even subjugated. The prevalent non-Muslim view seems to be the exact opposite. Muslims gained power where and when they were willing to temper and rather uncompromising, even rigid dictates of their religion with unabashed borrowing from other civilizations, and lost its power where and when they turned a blind eye to the benefits that others had to offer. Isn't that our people right there? Everybody else wants to help them, but they can't get help because they don't have a nationality. And then they talk about Hindustanis aren't their brother, and whoever has straight hair, they're not my brother, and look at their nose, they're not my brother. When everyone's waiting for our people. All of them waiting for our people to wake up. Will they wake up? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. You already know how it goes. Islam to all the Moors. Don't forget tomorrow, 12. We got our Sunday meeting tomorrow. We'll be right here. Canaanland Moors YouTube. If you got questions, you can email them. canaanlandguide@gmail.com. Canaanland, GUIDE @gmail.com. And don't forget, oh yeah, give you a teaser. Give you a teaser from the new book. Hold Me Up. Page 42. Without the marvelous light of knowledge of self brought by Noble Drew Ali, there would be no such precise, competent response from Mother Raz Bey. Without the jurisprudence teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, R.V. Bey publications may not even have existed for us today. One of the first challenges Noble Drew Ali overcame to establish our people's competency at law was to correct our status. While most individuals from most autochthonous, aboriginal, indigenous groups, associations, organizations today teach of status corrections and how to get it, i.e. processes and papers to file, they do so without acknowledging the founder of status correction, Noble Drew Ali. His teachings that we are not Negro, Black, colored, or Ethiopian was not angry black man ranting. That was done with specific purpose of removing us from the dead status into a higher status where we can file claims against those oppressing us. Many people look at slave brands, Negro, Black, and colors as identities when they are actually basic terms used to introduce unconscious Moors into the realm of law. Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Honors to all Moors worldwide. Honors to all the mothers out there. Peace and love, Moors. Islam.